Hello and welcome to the North Bank podcast. I'm your host Ollie. I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Hi guys.
Good evening.
We're recording on Thursday evening. We got through the away leg of the first leg of the Champions League semi-final last night, and we'll have a look back at that, and we'll look ahead to the Fulham game on Saturday, the crunch Fulham game sandwiched by the two Champions League semi-finals. It's a heady times for us, it really is. As ever, I'll start off with a few questions. I did find these questions quite difficult. And Steph, a couple of them will be mainly for you because you saw the entirety of yesterday's game. So, first one, was that Gyökeres's best 45 minutes in an Arsenal shirt? I only asked that question because several people have put that forward as a reality based on the first half yesterday. Again, it might be a low bar. I don't know, but that's one that you can take. The second question kind of related to last night in terms of tactics. Again, I only saw the second half, but I believe Rice's predominant role was deeper number 6, and everybody was eulogising about his performance. It's in his more comfortable position. I thought that Zubimendi had a decent second half, so maybe that's directly as a consequence of Rice's new role. So should Rice now permanently be playing in this deeper number 6 role? Now, it's a rhetorical question for me because I've been banging this particular drum for quite a while. But part of my scenario was that Zubimendi would be benched. That didn't happen last night. So that's another question. That's the second question to consider. Question 3. Was Arteta's fuming, quotation, post-match presser a message for the Arsenal fans ahead of next Tuesday? Because I think it's very clever that that's what he did there. It's unlike him to go so two-footed into something like that. Now, he may genuinely have been agog at what happened, but that's my question. Do you think it was as much for the fans next Tuesday? Because you could say that it was the home fans that forced that revision of that decision. But anyway, and final question: should we look ahead to Saturday for just the 3 points, or should we also have an eye on goal difference? Just looking ahead to Saturday, just back to the usuals. Right. So, Steph, you watched the whole game yesterday. Your head was on Mars at various points due to primarily the Eze overturned penalty. How are you feeling 24 hours later, considering we got a pretty decent draw out of the game?
Yeah, head's probably not on Mars, but it's still up there on the moon, probably, I think, if we're going to go down that route. Just because I think the Eze overturning of the penalty, it felt all kinds of wrong. And it was interesting talking to people at work today where they were like, well, I'm not sure it was a penalty. I was like, okay, fine.
But it was given.
It was given as a penalty. So therefore, was it such a mistake by the referee that it should have been overturned? And then people go, well, yeah, no. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it?
It was soft.
Sure.
But it was a penalty.
All the time. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that decision is kind of clouding a lot of things, just because we would have been in such a good position. Long periods of the game, most of the first half, if not all of it, and then even towards the end of the game, we were kind of on top and in control. And to have had that goal lead wouldn't have felt too harsh. Atletico Madrid had a good response in the second half, and a draw's okay. It's good. Of course it is.
Can I just jump in on whether a slender lead would have been a fair result for us with the match stats?
Okay.
52% possession for Atletico Madrid, 48 for us. It was actually 51.5 and 48.5, so it was almost...
neither here nor there.
Yeah. They had 18 shots to our 11. They had 4 on target to our 2. Their XG was 2.22. Our XG was 1.51. They had 25 touches in the opposition box. We had 23. They had 6 corners. We had 1. Those stats tell me that a draw was a fair result. But again, maybe. I didn't see the first half, and but we were better in the first half, weren't we? So
we were better, but it was better, I suppose, in control. And I guess I'm also looking at it from the point of view that we were away. It was a difficult environment in which to play. The crowd were obviously baying for blood, as was Simeone, and the team are a stubborn team to play. But I felt we played with an assuredness and a confidence in that first half. especially in possession, that almost had a swagger about it. It was really good to see. Still lacking in creativity, granted, totally understand. But at the same time, when we were in possession, sometimes Atletico were going to a back five, and there were even moments when it was almost like a back six. You know, what the teams did out of possession was elite in its own way, and Atletico were very hard to break through, but we were able to hold them at arm's length.
Chris, you didn't see the game, but when you got back and you saw the result, how'd you feel about that result? And then maybe how'd you feel after you learned a little bit more about the game?
Well, for perspective, I literally got off a plane and was finding out on the train on the way back from the airport what was playing out. So I watched the highlights last night. So it was a bit of a daze, but it was that thing of you have to take away the events of the game and the stats and look at those key moments in isolation in terms of, did we deserve to come away with 3 points or a draw? 3 points, the win or the draw. It boils down to those moments rather than the spread of the game, if you see what I mean.
Do you fear that the Eza overturned penalty will cost us?
It shouldn't, because I think a draw puts us in the favourites kind of position. I'd be really disappointed if we didn't progress at this point. I think we're in the driving seat. That's the way I put it.
We've said, well, the bookies agree with that. They have us as favourites to progress. I mean, we have messed up if we don't go through.
Yeah.
After having put in that away leg performance, I had a team that beat Barcelona there in the last round. Barcelona who beat Newcastle 7-2 in the previous round, or in one game. They was at 9-3 on aggregate or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I can't remember. So we're not playing any mugs there. I know Atletico Madrid are sitting fourth in La Liga. I know they're not the obstinate opposition that they once were under Simeone. We alluded to that, or Steph, you alluded to that in particular in the pre-match pod when you talked about, they were a lot more open and they're scoring a lot more goals. Nevertheless, that stadium sounded epic. The atmosphere was white hot. And judging from what you said, Steph, in particular about the first half, we handled that in our stride. We were receiving flowers at half-time and a 1-goal lead. How did Gyökeres then, to my first question, how did Gyökeres play in that first half, and why are people saying that it was probably his best 45 minutes in an Arsenal shirt?
They're probably saying it was his best 45 minutes because of two moments. One was the penalty he scored. Boy, can he hit a ball really hard. There's my insightful analysis on that one.
It went through the keeper.
Yeah, I did see someone post, I can't remember who said it. It might have been Daily Cannon or Short Fuse on BlueSky. They said, I don't even think the keeper would have stopped it had he got in the way, because the ball would have hit him and carried them both into the net because he hit it so hard. So there's that. Look, he's cold as ice when it comes to finishing. And any criticism that we've levelled at him in recent weeks has not been about his finishing. It's been about all the other stuff as well, because when you've got a striker who is just that, in a world where we live in a kind of, gegenpressing, multi-positional player kind of era of football where the technical level is so high, that's a bit of a throwback. And so, it's the team adjusting to him adjusting to the team, us adjusting to how we sort of see it. The other one thing that he did do, and I mentioned it in our instant reaction, we turned over the ball broke free, and his pace and power saw him go past the on-running Atletico defender, and then he managed to play a ball square, and that ended up in that Odegaard chance. And then the rest of the time, for me, it was just about keeping the centre-backs honest, and, doing his usual thing. Can't fault his effort.
Did he create space for others like...
To a point, yes. Odegaard certainly popped up in quite a number of advanced positions, and what you found...
Did Odegaard pass to him?
Yeah, well, I know. But Arteta tells him not to, apparently. So, Anyway,
someone did say that for clarification. Someone
Sorry,
did put that
bit of an
forward
in-joke.
as a genuine a genuine reason.
Yeah, we put a clip out of me not being the most favourable to Gyökeres, and someone commented saying that Arteta tells the other players not to pass to him. I mean, okay. Anyway, yeah. So what was happening in the game was the two fullbacks, because our wingers, Madueke and Martinelli, were so wide, Nketiah and Ben White were taken in that inside channel, which was why, I mean, Rice is probably man of the match because he was playing in that 6 role really deep, dropping in as an auxiliary centre-back, and him, Zubimendi, and then Gabriel and Saliba just had it on lockdown. It was just great, very controlled.
Chris, you can't comment on, nor can I, on whether that was Gyökeres' best 45 minutes, because if it was, we missed it.
Yeah.
But hey-ho. On the Rice thing, so my second question was, should Rice permanently be, well, I say permanently, but from every game between now and the end of the season, should he be playing in that number 6 role? He completed more passes than anybody else in the game. Sorry, he attempted more passes than anyone else in the game, and he had a 93% completion rate. It was dominant from Declan Rice. In a position he's on record as saying is his preferred. And because I only saw the second half, Zubimendi I thought was really good. Ignoring the subs that came on, because I've got a few things to say about those, but I thought Zubimendi of the on-field starters, I thought was pretty impressive. How did you feel?
Me or Chris?
Well, Chris hasn't seen it. So.
No, but I can comment.
Sorry, go, yeah.
No, just because in general, I think what you're touching on here is the ideal situation for me anyway, is to see them in more of a kind of hybrid role, which we've seen them in the past when they've been functioning like pistons, basically, where you would see Rice go on a marauding run forward. He'd maybe turn it over and then he'd go on one of those runs, and that's kind of key for Zubi to just drop in and fill the space.
But he didn't do that yesterday.
Who didn't?
Rice didn't.
No,
do
Rice
that
was
yesterday.
was holding more, right?
Yeah.
I'm presuming. Okay, because I suppose we're slightly more conservative. But what we've seen in the past is more of that kind of motion of them being like a pure double pivot, where you've seen Zubimendi progress and maybe Rice drop in. So I think there's a kind of compromise to be had, basically. We're not talking like rigid binaries here, are we?
I am.
Well, you don't want him to cross the halfway line.
No, genuinely, I want him to sit. I don't want him, because that's the problem since Christmas, is they've been getting in each other's spaces because they've maybe like overcomplicating the midfield issue. It's. I mean, Zubimendi his form has notably dipped since Christmas, but he had a really good game yesterday. And so what changed? Well, Rice played deeper, and Zubimendi. So Rice's role was more. There was more clarity, as there was with Zubimendi's.
Yeah, I think
Zubimendi's doing a bit of like real pressing.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he did a little bit of that against Newcastle as well.
So maybe they've started to
Yeah.
redefine those positions a little bit. Because I must say, fair play to Arteta for several reasons yesterday. But one, firstly, for doing that, for tweaking the midfield setup, the tactical setup there. I think that and people were saying that last night's performance was they were reminded of early season Arsenal.
Yeah. I think some of it will have been because Odegaard has come into the midfield as well, and his role is also fairly clearly defined. Ezra's still a bit more of he's an enigma, isn't he? He's a maverick in terms of what he does, but obviously they have the pre-existing relationship with Odegaard to some extent. And I just think it'll be interesting then against Fulham this week, and then maybe even more so against the likes of West Ham and Burnley in matches to come, because there are times when we've seen Arsenal face like a low block team, and then Odegaard almost comes deep and picks up the ball as a quarterback in that role, but then he's too far away from the front line to feed in the passes that could end up in chances. So it was good to see him stay relatively high yesterday. And like you say, Zubimendi, there was the moment that led to our penalty that Gyökeres put away, came from a ball over the top, misjudged by Alvarez. So our defender, I don't know if it was Rice or if it was Gabriel actually, that came over the top and headed it. And then there was some neat 1-2 kind of play that then ended up landing to Gyökeres, who was kind of bundled over. But that was Zubimendi in that slightly more advanced position. So he ended up, there was one chance against Newcastle where he ended up in the box as well. So again, with Odegaard coming back into the team since the Man City game, like you say, Rice and Zubimendi have kind of redefined their role. I don't think it's as 100% rigid as he just stays there. Rice certainly did yesterday. That was probably more out of respect for Atletico and what they offered, because Alvarez is such a good striker, and Griezmann was looking to link up play constantly. So Rice was snuffing all of that out. Whether they do the same thing against Fulham, who have, say, Jimenez up front, a more traditional centre forward, who's going to be very much, combating with Saliba and Gabriel, and it's who the players are sort of buzzing around. Harry Wilson tends to play kind of wider. Smith Rowe's been kind of in and out of the team. Whether Rice will pick him up, I don't know, because the other side of things would be to add Rice's physicality maybe slightly further forward. I don't know, but they'll have to obviously just sort of judge it as they go.
I mean, we'll look at the Fulham lineups later, but I would be home to Fulham. I know they've got a shout for European places now, but yeah, you've got to be on the front foot. You can't be mitigating their attack beyond what we would normally do in terms of setup. Other kudos to Arteta, changing Odegaard so early, 55 minutes-ish for Eza. And I thought Eza played really well. I thought he was dangerous. And I wouldn't have played the two of them together in this game. I understand completely why it was Odegaard that came off and not Zubimendi that came off, for example. But I thought Eza did really well. And then making the triple change, changing the three strikers, I don't know what minute that was, 70-something. Listen to what happened to our possession stats. The Lookman chance, I think, was like 68 minutes, something like that, the Lookman chance, when he should have scored, or if he was cuter, he'd have won a penalty. From half-time to that moment, the Lookman chance, we had 28% possession. So that's like nearly half an hour or 25 minutes and we had 28 possession. For the final 15, 20 minutes, so it didn't happen straight away. It took 7-8 minutes for it to gradually happen. But for the last 15 to 20 minutes, our possession went from 28% to 62%. And it wasn't at the back. That was control in the middle and final third. It was really impressive. That the way we've closed out that game, I thought was impressive. I thought it was a real statement, to be fair. And I have seen some like Seedorf said similar and Marino said similar, that watch out for Arsenal. That performance was as impressive as anything that happened the night before. Like in a completely different way. Like from a control and is it like adult football kind of way?
The grown-ups.
Grown-up football kind of way, yeah. So making that triple change, because the three that started, obviously Madueke, Martinelli, and Gyökeres, they're not the most guile type players. Whereas retaining possession, but then the three that you bring on, Saka, Jesus and Trossard, are the complete antithesis of that. They are the control possession type. And I thought Saka was a bit rusty to begin with, but there were a couple of old Saka flashes where he rode a couple of tackles, cut inside and then laid the ball off, and I thought, that's confident, that's good. I like that. And there was a couple, and that helped move us further up because Saka gets the ball and the defender knows he's not going to run out of football pitch, number one, like the previous incumbent might have. And he's not going to lose the ball. He's going to shield the ball and retain possession, maintain possession, whatever, regardless of like who he lays it off to. So how did you see the subs play out and like credit Arteta, I guess?
Yes, because what worried me was a few weeks back, I think it was in the Bournemouth game when he made a triple sub.
Yeah.
That was the antithesis of it. That was a triple sub that actually didn't change momentum in any way, shape or form, and just conveyed kind of panic. You're absolutely right. Whereas the ebb and flow of yesterday's game meant that we had suffered a little bit, but those players that started, particularly Madueke and Martinelli, they were able to expel the energy that they sort of needed. But then Saka, like you say, Trossard and Jesus can just bring in that little bit more, careful possession. A lot has been made, albeit online, which I know isn't the real world and doesn't exist, about Odegaard and his early substitution. Again, I don't see it as one thing. This is Odegaard who's had, countless injuries throughout the season. He's in no massive rhythm in terms of his play. He's trying to get back to, the form of old. And he's given a good account of himself for an hour and then has been replaced by a player who has been in form and playing really well. And it's exactly that kind of substitution that we wish that he hasn't been making. Yeah. Because it would have been easy to go, okay, well, Odegaard's like kind of done all right, and particularly in the first half, we'll just leave things as is. Well, no, you've got a player on the pitch who is not exactly the same profile, but, carries a lot of similar qualities. Great on the ball, can create something.
Gives something else for the defence to think about and contend with. Completely different. So muscle memory is no good for the final 30 minutes because a completely different profile player they're up against. Yeah.
And I think too many people, sorry, I'm going to criticise like knuckle-headed thinking by football fans again, but whatever. Too many people are thinking that the substitution of Odegaard coming off is some kind of statement about his performance that he's put in at that point. Well, it might say more about him and his availability for the Fulham game on Saturday.
I was worried he wasn't injured. I was worried he was injured. That was my fear.
Yeah. So the point is, if you can take him off and bring Eze on for half an hour, give him more time to grow into the game, affect the game, work out the opposition, brilliant. And he did that. He should have won he literally did win a penalty that was then overturned. He'd managed to outthink and outmaneuver his opposition in order to gain us an advantage that we should have had the opportunity to take. But sadly, it was overturned. So I thought it was a fine substitution. And even the triple one, where I was a bit not sure, is it too much too soon? But actually, it was right for that moment to wrestle back some control because, like you say, our possession had kind of dropped off and we were under the cosh a little bit.
And his final sub was Mosquera for Ben White. And I think I was pleased he did that as well. Can we just talk about Ben White walking on the crest? Don't put it on the frickin' floor.
Is this at half-time?
Yeah.
As well. It's at half-time. He's walked off. Yeah, I think it's very much a Spanish thing.
Not since 23. There's no crest on the floor.
Plenty of other players walked on it. Why did they pick on him?
Well, the camera was on it at that time. Maybe the camera's on the whole time. They
might have picked on us. It's Ben White. They're trying to get in their heads, aren't they? And just like they could.
Well, if you don't want people to walk on it, don't put it on the floor. Someone said, you don't get a nice fancy welcome mat in front of your door and then have a go at people for wiping their feet on it. Like, if it's that valuable and precious and symbolic, hang it on a bloody wall.
How about a tifo for the return game of Ben White walking on the Atletico badge? He walks where he wants.
It would break the internet.
Benjamin White.
I wasn't. I hadn't meant to mention that. I did mean to mention, but not then. Mosquera for Ben White. I thought Ben White was, and again, only saw the second half. He gave the ball away, got caught out upfield a little bit. He could have conceded a penalty for that Lookman chance. How was he in the first half?
Yeah, he was okay. As part of that defence, he was the fourth best performer, but then he's up against Saliba, Gabriel, and Nketiah, and Nketiah is just amazing at the moment. He's really stepping up and coming to bear at the end of the season. Great player. But yeah, Ben White, fine. It's a concentration thing, isn't it? It's just.
I think he's lost something. I think he's lost a bit of pace, perhaps, in his.
Maybe.
He had that kind of been hampered with injury for over a year. Maybe not fully fit. Maybe still carrying an injury in the absence of Timber, because I mean he played through pain considerably because we had no alternative.
Yeah, because Timber's ACL.
Yeah, so he literally took one for the team, sacrificed himself for the team, and maybe he's not recovered fully from that. Still, on to the third question, which was, so Chris, Arteta's presser was about a lot of things, but in particular about the overturned penalty decision. First of all, what did you think of that decision? And what do you think of Arteta going 2-footed in on the injustice of it ahead of the return leg?
I mean, I'm struggling to find things that haven't been said already about this, because it's just so. For me, it's pretty clear cut. You give the penalty. There's no clear and obvious reason to overturn it. You look at the monitor 13 times, struggling to find something, and to me, I'm thinking, okay, what's going on in his mind? And I can only come up with Simeone screaming in his ear and the 50,000 or whatever fans that there is subconscious or conscious bias going on there with a referee when he's making those decisions, and whether or not he thought he had to balance something out in his mind, I don't know. But it's just a ridiculous decision.
Well, I haven't heard anything today regarding the VAR, but it was strong refereeing followed by weak refereeing from him.
Yeah.
But the VAR should never have asked him to go to the monitor.
No.
That's the thing. And the longer that went on, the louder that crescendo became, and it became increasingly difficult for him to not bottle it, not kind of give in. It was a penalty. There's no. Yes, some people. Steph, do you want to? Before we start recording, you were like relaying conversations you had at work today.
Yeah, I mean, a few people sort of said, but it's not a penalty. It's a soft penalty, and I said, okay, fine, but the referee has given it. Do you think it's a clear enough and an obvious enough error by the referee to overturn it? And once you couch it in those terms, most people are then unanimous. Well, yeah, obviously. And look, we're not saying it's like the most egregious offence that the defender has ever made, but Eze's knocked the ball past him. The defender's caught him. He's gone down. Like Jamie Vardy made an entire career of doing stuff like that.
That's not even a Jamie Vardy. Like he hasn't put his leg into it
Sure.
Like he's literally got the ball before the defender, whose foot then comes down on his foot.
Yeah.
It's a penalty. The
threshold to overturn an on-field referee's decision should be so high that to look at, and I would happily, if I looked at something and I saw Eze had like dived or something like that,
fair enough,
you hold your hands up, but it's fine. But he didn't. So like it shouldn't be that big, because ultimately, if that's what we're doing, well then what's the point in the authority of the guy on the field? Just have it reffed from a distance on a screen. Like who cares? Like there's no point otherwise. But yeah, so that Chris, was really annoying. Sorry,
Chris. Do you think that Arteta knew what he was doing, had an agenda there, an ulterior motive when he really slammed the injustice and he was fuming about this? He said it was against the law. He really did go full on into it.
I don't know. I'm on the fence on this one, because I feel like after the Newcastle game, when he really had a go at the refs, I'm pretty sure that was just from the heart. That he just felt there was a grievous...
but there was there's no second leg there, though. This is a 2-leg thing. He knows that in 6 days' time,
I'm sure
doing
he does.
This again.
I'm sure he does, but like I said, I do think it came from the heart. I don't think it was a premeditated, put it that way. It wasn't premeditated. I know what I'll do such, I'll say such and such. He was probably, as he was speaking, thinking, yeah, this will this will rile them up for next week. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it's 6 of one after than the other.
Having listened to it, I think it's what he said is exactly what we as fans want to hear. Although we don't necessarily need it, because most of the fans I've spoken to are really bloody annoyed by it, and certainly annoyed at the antics of Simeone, literally barking like a bloody dog in the referee's ear. I mean, why is the monitor there exactly? I don't particularly know, but anyway. And so, the conduct of him, and I tweeted out as well that Simeone acts in a way that's what rival fans think Arteta is. Well, actually, if you watch Arteta's post-match press conference yesterday, he never shouts, he never screams, his temperature remains fairly low. And I agree with you, Chris, that what he said, it was kind of just emotional from the heart. I think he said a phrase as something like, you work for 9 months, to raise the levels to what we've got. And everyone was praising our performance, particularly first half, all that control. To go away to Atletico Madrid and to have such a mature performance like we did, we've worked hard to get to that point. To then have those moments. And look, we're sat here thinking a draw is a fine result. You look at the stats and the broader things, fine. But in moments in the game, that was a moment that should have gone our way. And we earned the right for it to go our way. And it does leave a bit of a sour taste for it not to. I thought he was just being emotional, but I like the fact that what he said will add fuel to our fire, but not that we particularly need it.
I think it's also worth pointing out that he prefaced all of that by saying the Ben White one, I understand it because this is how European football is refereed. In the Premier League, it's not a penalty, whereas in Europe it is. Yeah. So he could accept it. And then he went on to say, but the Eza one.
That's exactly why I think he knew what he was doing. Because you say he was emotional. He accepted straight away. Look, we were told at the start of the season, this is a handball in Europe. So no surprise. That was a handball. However, I think that was a message designed exclusively for the Arsenal home crowd. And good on him for it.
Well, I'm hoping it. I mean, I'm not hoping. I know it will be a white hot atmosphere.
It will do the job for sure,
Can't bloody wait.
Anything else to say on the semi-final first before we look ahead to Fulham on Saturday?
I just want to reference one. So TJ, hi TJ, he messaged into our Patreon, which people can join for free and enter the chat. Okay, a little community we've got going on there. He went to the Atletico game yesterday, and he said, I asked an Atletico Madrid local what the deal with the bog roll was. So at the start of the game, all their fans were throwing bog roll as streamers. And he said, well, they just do it as a bit of a ritual thing before big games. Okay, fine. No symbolic significance. It just looks cool. It did look cool, and I'll give them that.
I have heard quite a few fans online try to get a few funds together to go and buy a load of red ones ahead of next Tuesday. Nice, return the favour. We should do our own thing.
Or we could
what
get
would be the Arsenal thing?
Bog roll with the Atletico badge on and obviously use it as bog
use
roll.
it.
Give it to Ben White and go, there you go, Ben. Sort your fake tan out with
that. So anything else to say after? Anything further to say after? No. Okay, so my fourth question was, should we look to Saturday, visit to Fulham, 5:30 kick-off again? Should we look just for the 3 points, just to win the game, or should we obviously secure that, but unlike the Newcastle game, really put the foot on the pedal and try and go for goals? Go on then, Chris.
I mean, ideally it's what we all want, of course. I'd just take the 3 points at this stage, to be honest. I just want to get it across. Well, it might not be even. It might not go down to goal difference. I just want to be 6 points clear of them, with them having to go to Everton and Bournemouth and get 6 points themselves, and then we'll know.
Not quite. They have to go to Everton and then they play Brentford at home.
Okay, beg your pardon.
Before we then play away at West Ham.
I just feel there are points to be dropped there, and if we get past, say, the Bournemouth away game, and we're still looking for goal difference, then I think, okay, let's smash Burnley.
New manager bounce, Burnley. There's a great meme online. There's a guy called Michael Jackson who's taken over their team till the end of the season, and there's a great meme or clip or whatever of his first training session. I'll leave you to your imagination as to what was happening in that training session.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Is it bad?
It is bad.
Or was it a thriller?
Done.
The thriller,
Was,
surely, yeah.
Was it a thriller?
I know you were playing on words, Chris.
Yeah.
Go on. Okay. Steph, 3 points and go for goal difference, or just wrap up the 3 points?
3 points. If you get the 3 points, at the very least you improve your goal difference by 1. Anything after that is a bonus. 3 points, please. 6
if
points
both
clear.
teams win all games, will you have regret that you didn't go for it in
Massively,
one of these games?
but I'll have regrets about drawing at Wolves. I'll have regrets at.
But we can't impact. No. We can't impact that now. We can impact the Fulham game.
Yeah, I know, but like all we can do is go out and win those games. We've got to win those.
No,
games.
that's
I
not
don't-
all we can do is go out and win those games. That's my
before
question.
before this run, before the Newcastle game, I said I don't think we'll be flawless in our 5 remaining games. So go out and bloody win, and then ultimately it might be a case of where the chips may fall. Yeah, those last 2 games, because you've got Burnley and because you've got Crystal Palace, who might have European things on their mind.
Last I checked, they were 1-0 up away to Shakhtar. Is that still the case?
They're 3-1 up.
Oh, right. So brilliant. So that's excellent.
Good.
Now, the curious thing about that is their Europa Conference final is 3 or 4 days after our game. So it'll be the Wednesday after the Sunday. The midweek before our game, they go to the Etihad. I think that's right. I'll sit corrected if that's wrong.
I think that's about right, yeah.
So what if you're Palace, do you play your first team and then give at the Etihad and give them a week off ahead of so to kind of run off any knocks, or do you play your first team in your final home game of the season before the final? So for me, the logic would be to play your stronger team, the key players, your Wharton and your Sarr and your what's his name, Mateta, is that? Yeah. To keep them going, to keep them the momentum going in the Etihad game, the City game, and then rest the hell out of them for us. So they're going, because which game's more important to Palace? Us or the the conference final? What's the conference final? And Glasgow would love nothing more. I mean, he'd go down in their history. He's already in their history books. But to win their first ever trophy and to follow it up with a European trophy the next season, I mean, that's different level.
Madness. But also, it would keep them in that midweek rhythm as well. Of going strong in the midweek and then the weekend, seeing what sort of.
I know. I'm saying this, and what's the score in the Villa Forest game?
It was 1-0 Forest.
Because Forest
it finished that.
Okay, so yeah, that Villa play their European final 3 or 4 days before they go to the Etihad.
Well, they might not be in it.
Yeah, so they might not be in it, but. Okay, 1-0. That's still in the balance, but yeah. I don't know whether I want Villa to be in it or not. They're kind of secure in Champions League slots now. There's an 8-point gap between 6. So they're not really going to capitulate that in 5 games. I don't think. Not knowing they play Spurs at the weekend, don't they, Villa?
So we kind of want them to win that.
Oh yeah, win that one for sure with bells on.
Don't worry about the City games. Just as long as we win ours, it will be what it'll be.
I'm worried about all of the games. But that's my point. Is I really wanted us to not just have the 6-point lead. Obviously, that's the most important, but to crank up the pressure more so that City go to Everton knowing a win might not be enough. It's the manner of the win or the goal difference column. You just really crank up the pressure. I know that someone said, and I kind of agreed with it, that before the Newcastle game, Newcastle was our toughest remaining fixture because of the quality of the players in the Newcastle team. You look at Tonali and Guimaraes in midfield, you'll go a long way to... Well, certainly, I know Adam Wharton's very good, but you go a long way to find a midfield pairing better in any of the other teams we're facing this, like, who plays in midfield for West Ham? Who plays in midfield for Burnley? Who plays in this with Adam Wharton in the midfield for Palace? I'm struggling. Can you answer those questions? Who's playing in midfield for Fulham against us on Saturday? I'm like, we're completely ignorant of other teams outside of Arsenal and the Big Six, but I can't tell you with any confidence who's playing in those positions for those things. But I can tell you who the Newcastle midfield is. But we've got that one out of the way, just tortured as it was. Are Fulham now the toughest fixture we've got left? That's not because they're next, but because they're the ones that are in... No, well, actually, West Ham would be fifth in a league table since the 1st of January. So
form-wise, it's West Ham.
Yeah. So, but Fulham, Fulham are 48 points. They're 2 points behind Brighton in 6th. They're level on points with Chelsea and 2 or 3 other teams. Their last 2 away games, they lost at Anfield 2-0 and they drew 0-0 at Brentford, I think, and then they beat Villa 1-0 at home last time out. So they're on, like, their away form's not fantastic, but they're in with a real shout. They've got something to fight for. Do you not? So it could be cagey, it could be tricky, but that might work to our advantage as well. That a draw's kind of no good to them with so few games left. Not that a draw at Arsenal's not. It's a great result for Fulham, a draw at Arsenal, I'm sure, but not when they need the 3 points to firm up a European spot. Was there a question in there?
Not really. We were
You
talking
just
about
wanted
whether
to
we
know.
needed goals and
Yeah.
points. Yeah. But
Is
we need
nobody
both.
agreeing with me that we need goals?
Well,
Well,
no,
we
we
want
know we
them.
need goals, but get the game won first.
But yeah. But the option wasn't. Yeah, and I said that. I'm not saying lose the game and then worry about goal difference.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's like,
But I think goal difference. You're home against Fulham. It's an
you're
opportunity.
setting yourself up to be disappointed
Same again.
with a narrow victory.
Yeah. And I was disappointed with the 1-0 victory against Newcastle. But then so were you.
Even with, I was stressed by a 1-0
You were a
victory.
broken man.
I was, because I was stressed. Because I wasn't stressed because we didn't score a second goal. I was stressed because I thought Newcastle might score a bloody equaliser. And that would
Because we'd only
devastate
got
me.
1 goal.
That would devastate me.
It's
then-
the same. It's the same side. It's the side of the same coin side.
Well,
whatever.
exactly then. So, pointless debate. Let's get the game won. Look, Fulham are dangerous because on the one hand, they do have something to play for, but also know that they're not in pole position for those European places. So they get a bit of a swing at it as well. Most people, as far as I'm aware, are fit and available.
No, Iwobi's not.
Iwobi's the one.
And
I know that because he's in my fantasy football team.
Iwobi and Kevin aren't available, and Teta and Sessegnon are rated as 25% chances.
Oh, is he? I didn't know
Yeah.
that one.
So
Sessegnon.
that's on Premier League injuries a few hours ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know how often that updates.
But Harry Wilson's their star player this season. and
Emil
he's-
started the last
Emil
game.
has, and Josh King, they got a young player who sort of comes in and does well. Jimenez is a decent enough striker. Their midfield, you asked about their midfield, Lukic and Berger.
Berger's a good player, yeah.
They're all right. I mean, I wouldn't call them the most...
Sanderberg.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them the most dynamic midfield, and you would like for us to maybe dominate that, but they play in such a way that they might bypass that to a certain extent. They've got a target man up front, and they've got good players like Wilson and Smith Rowe, around them as well. And Chukwueze, is that his name?
The young player is really
Young
good.
player, yeah.
I'm sorry, home to Fulham is a home win and a comfortable home win every season.
Yeah. Apart from
I'm not
that...
saying it is. I'm saying it should be.
Oh, right, okay. I was going to remind you of a
No.
game that
We owe them for
put
that.
your head on Mars because of the
For
way
an
we
entire
conceded.
season.
Yeah,
For
we
an
conceded
entire
late,
season.
didn't we? 2-2. 3 years ago, I think now. Oh dear.
They were down to 10 men, and we just didn't
Defend a corner.
twist. We didn't twist the knife. We sat back. Chris,
Mm.
what are you looking for against Fulham?
Well, the 3 points and a more than a 1-0 victory would be very nice. Thank you. Is my kind of...
Give me your suggestion on lineup. Then you think what Arteta might do?
I think Arteta will rotate slightly from the Madrid game. So I've got him with Raya in goal, It will be White again, Saliba, Gabriel, and he'll start Calafiori maybe. Zubimendi and Rice. I don't think he'll go with the Rice as you want him to be, the single kind of 6 and then with 2 sort of more adventurous 8s. I think he'll stick with Zubimendi and Rice. With Ødegaard and then Saka, Gyökeres and Eze.
Steph.
Yeah, I did find this difficult just because of the sort of combinations, and I'm even changing a couple of things last minute here, because I suppose it is about getting the game won, but because he can't rotate it, we're in a title race.
The performance against Newcastle was pretty poor.
Yeah.
The performance against Atletico Madrid was not.
Yeah.
Atletico Madrid are a much more formidable opposition than Fulham.
Yeah. But it's, context is key. Right, Raya in goal. Back for Mosquera, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié. I think he'll stick with Hincapié. I know he's played against Atletico, but he's in such good form. Midfield 3, Ødegaard, Zubimendi, Rice. And then a front 3, I think he goes with Saka, Gyökeres, Eze.
Okay.
Madueke didn't impress me massively.
I don't think any of us have the same lineup, but I've gone from Raya and goal. I've gone for White at right back to start because I think Saka and Ødegaard will both play, and there's history there. There's patterns there.
Yeah, connection.
And it's home game, so I'm assuming we'll not be on the back foot as much as we might have been in midweek, for example. So Saliba, Gabriel, and I think he'll play Hincapié at left back because Eze will be in front of him, and it just has a little bit of security defensively as well. Although Eze's been fine. I mean, Eze's had one mistake one glaring mistake at Villa Park, and he suffered as a consequence of that. Now, I think he'll play Rice and Zubimendi as the two midfielders there, but I don't know. I'm not sure if you were actually disagreeing with this, Chris, or not. I think he will play them in the same way he played them against Atletico Madrid. I think Rice will be asked to play more deep and defensive, and Zubimendi will get to play further forward with Ødegaard as well. I think it worked. It worked so much better than it did against Newcastle the other way, which it hasn't worked. He's done it the other way pretty much every game since Christmas, and it hasn't worked barely at all. And he's changed it. And he changed it with the same personnel. He tweaked their positions, and that's fine. All I wanted was Rice playing in his preferred position. Whether it was Zubimendi ahead of him, I was okay about. And my front 3, Saka on the right, Eze on the left, and Gyökeres through the middle. Because obviously Havertz isn't available and Jesus won't start. Score, Chris.
I'm going 2-0.
Steph.
1-0.
And I'm back to my usual 3-1.
3-1.
Do you know the table, Steph?
Well, just between us in our prediction, 3 points for a dead correct score and just 1 point for a win. I'm on 27. Holly, you're on 32, and Chris is in front on 36.
Damn you, Chris. I think I was ahead of you the last time I checked.
No, 36.
And what have you gone for? You've gone for a win anyway. So a 2-0 win. Okay, I'll take
a 3-1 because it means we've got more goals scored. Right?
Yeah, that would take one off because they're 3 goals scored ahead of us. Yeah, well, as we said against Newcastle, but much better we'd lost that won that game 3-2 than 1-0. Yeah, take it. Okay. Yeah, I'm out on anything else. I've got nothing else to offer.
No, the only other news out of Arsenal that I saw this week is that Leah Williamson has committed her future to the club. So
how many years is that?
I didn't.
20. No, she's been at the club 20
years.
Oh
God, yeah. I mean, yeah, since she was a child. God,
that's mad.
Yeah, what a servant. And they've got their own Champions League semi-final coming up. Second.
Is it midweek as well next week?
I don't actually know off the top of my head. I haven't looked. But I watched the first game against Lyon. They were good, especially second half.
Is it 2-1?
Yeah, it was in the end. Yeah, good.
Anything else to add?
I'll be there.
Woohoo!
Oh, shall we
Fulham.
three meet again?
We will.
Will we, though?
Well, it's different for that one because I'm having to travel down from Nottingham because I've messed up my sort of calendar, so I'm not going with the usual Norfolk club. So I'll be driving in with Holly past your road, Chris.
Oh,
I know.
I will stop off and give me a lift then.
There we go.
Then we'll make sure that we'll all make it in. Yeah. There you go. And if anyone wants
Chris,
to meet
I'm
us,
not waiting, Chris. I'm not waiting at the end of your road for you to turn up.
Just
you were
beat the
30 minutes
horn.
wait. You were 30 minutes late for this bloody podcast, and that's in your own house.
Wait
That's to
a
get from your house to the back to the garden.
Yeah, there are mitigating circumstances.
There always are, Chris. I'm,
Behind the curtain there.
Fair enough.
So there you
what
go.
was it?
All the North
Sorry.
Bank will be in attendance.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Chris, sorry, you were saying about like
Block 6.
a call out to
Yeah, just for people to come and say hello if
come
they're
and be
lucky
nice.
enough to be attending.
Yeah, come and say hi to us. Be nice to us.
And
Well, we
keep Patreon. Keep chipping in on the Patreon because it's always good.
It's a place of sanity. It really is.
Yeah,
And humour. Sanity and humour.
you need it
You do.
to
Both.
cope with the stress. We do need a good atmosphere on Saturday against Fulham because we've had the conversation about the atmosphere for the return leg against Atletico, but yeah, we still need it against Fulham as well. I thought it was okay against Newcastle.
I thought the crowd was really good. I mean, it helped that there was a sense of injustice towards the referee
Yeah,
in the second, like in the last 20, 25 minutes. That did help.
I'd prefer not to rely on that if that's okay.
Well, Steph, I'm not convinced you will survive another Newcastle game. Because that reminded me of the last 10, 15 minutes in the Chelsea game as well.
I will be incredibly tired from the night before because I'm going to a gig, hence why I'm having to make my own travel plans. So I think the tiredness might mean my stress levels just can't get that high again. That's what I'm kidding myself saying. Or I'll be worse.
I might have to go for a walk in the concourse come 85 minutes if it's 1-0 again. I was like,
If I keep hitting you, going, why is he doing that? For God's sake.
At one point, I was told by my daughter that you were using me as a shield. I'm not sure against what, but just like seeing anything from the pitch, perhaps. Anyway, I'm sure. Look, we'll race into a 3-0 lead after 20 minutes and then sit back and concede one annoyingly late on.
Take it.
Take it indeed. Take it indeed. All right. Cheers for that. Cheers for the chat. Cheers for listening. Cheers for watching. Enjoy the next couple of days and, tune back in again. We'll have an instant reaction at some point on Saturday evening, although not sure how and when because we're all at the game. But we'll try something. The magic of technology might, and Chris and technology's magic combined might sort something out. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. And but we'll do another pod on the Sunday looking back and looking ahead. Anyway, in the meantime, come on, you Gunners. Cheerio.
Please. The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app and find us on your socials at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by the Podcast Company.